Greetings, everyone. I hope you're having a happy Wednesday. I'm Brian, and this is day 24 of my 365-day journey to improving the relationship that we have with our dogs. So this is a video that's an encore because last Saturday I shot this video in which I talked about attention, motivation, and cognition. Unfortunately, though, the audio became very glitchy about 3/4 of the way through. So I've had a lot of requests to redo this particular video. It's a really important video. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and just go over it again. Probably go just a little bit faster than I did last time because, well, like I said, for about 3/4 of the way through it, it sounded okay. Hopefully today it's going to work all the way through it and we won't have any sort of technical difficulties. But this is important stuff. Okay, so anytime I embark upon training a dog, anytime I do, I always consider the roles of attention. What do I have to do to gain their attention? Motivation. Okay, what's going to drive you to learn what it is I'm trying to teach you? And cognition. Cognition. Are you capable of learning what it is I'm about to teach you? Do you have the right mindset? Are you picking up what I'm trying to put down? Okay, so that being said, all animals have what we call biologically prepared learning, all organisms. What is biologically prepared learning? That means that they are hardwired to learn those things that are closely related to a survival, that will enhance its survival capability. That's what they're hardwired to do. And if you really think about it and just wipe off all the crust of all the enjoyable things that we get to experience as human beings, it's really the same thing. It does boil down to the fact that you have to have food. Life is an exchange of energy for more energy. Life at a fundamental level is nothing more than our attempt to adjust to a change in our conditions. And I always tell people, if you don't believe that one, just get a little notepad and when you wake up in the morning, start writing stuff down. Like for example, as soon as you wake up, that's the first change in your condition. Next thing you know, you think, hey, I gotta go to the bathroom. Or it's cold in here. Oh my God, I'm running late. Either way, you start to immediately adjust to a change in your condition throughout the rest of your day, all the way through it. So again, everything that we do, everything that our dogs do, it is really geared towards survival. Only we humans get to delve in that land of luxury stuff, being able to relax for a second or two. Not animals. No, they're built differently. So this is important because when you train, you have to always keep this little survival thing in your head. You've got to always think about it. It must always be present. Attention, for example. Most intelligent animals learn from free exploration and curiosity. They really do. I'm a big believer, many scientists, many ethologists, biologists, even psychologists that study animal behavior, everyone agrees that if you want to, before you embark upon experimenting with a dog or any animal, and you are trying to modify its behavior, you must first spend about 2,000 hours studying the spontaneous, natural behavior of that animal. And I absolutely agree. Otherwise, how will you know, is that a normal behavior or is that not a normal behavior? What drives my animal? Because anytime we can stay in that lane, it's just going to be easier. When you start swimming upstream or you start going against the flow of the traffic, things are going to be immensely more difficult for you and for your dog, which then means we incur more stress. And that's the whole idea behind these videos, is so that we don't. Okay, so back to this. Most of your dog's attention will be focused on, again, learning whatever it needs to learn to survive. Its motivation will be driven to learn whatever it needs to learn to survive. Its cognition, which is really nothing more than your animal's brain taking in sensory input, all the sensory input, visual, tactile, auditory, olfactory, you name it, processing it in the old brain up there and then utilizing it to survive. For wolves, all of this information, from the minute that they're born, they're already born knowing some things, just like humans. We're already born knowing some things. We call this plasticity. We call this imprinting. We call it sign stimuli if it's a visual signal to the animal. Whole bunch of little science type things. But for wolves, same thing applies to them. Attention, motivation, cognition. For them, survival equates to food, number one. Absolutely. That's always, always number one. You got to have food. Number two, a mate. If you want to really survive as a wolf and you really want to perpetuate the species, that is part of your survival game plan. So you kind of need a mate to get that thing done. And I don't need to explain why we have to do that. Just go back to your biology class. Then they have to have a safe dwelling place for their offspring. Territories, yes, territories can hold food in them, but the biggest purpose behind a territory is to provide a safe distance away from your enemies. It's no different. Imagine if you had a young infant or a couple young children in your house. Well, it's fine that you have next door neighbors as long as it's not an open floor plan that includes 5 houses in a row and you don't know who the heck is living in the rest of those houses over there. You're not going to feel very safe about your children's welfare and conditions like that. So that's kind of extreme, but that's why territories are normally only large enough to be economically defensible. I want to defend it. I need a safe dwelling place for my offspring, which is really important for about 6 months out of the year. And then they're usually old enough to start taking care of themselves. And then lastly, status. When it's just 2 wolves, yeah, we have a status. I'm the male, you're the female, we're mates. We start having offspring, and the offspring grow, and we have developing P of Rs and things of that sort there. So my status is really important because food is very limited, and there's no guarantee that there's 10 of us, all of us are going to be able to eat. Again, no different than for you. If you grow up with 8 brothers and sisters, you may love them like no tomorrow. But if mama only throws 1 biscuit on the table every day for breakfast, I guarantee you after about day 3, elbows are going to start to fly. Welcome to competitive aggression. Welcome to needing food. Okay, so over here for your dogs. What do your dogs need? Where does their cognition and their motivation focus? Well, let's just take away the mate because, again, we neuter and spay our dogs. So there's not really that need to mate. You know, a lot of the chemicals in the brain atrophy because of the fact that they are neutered and spayed. So I'm just going to wipe that out. But they do need food. They do. They got to have some food. So let me move over here. So I'm kind of blocking off my screen over here. You got to have food. And then for them, the next thing is safety. Safety. And then there's status. Status within the household. Status within the established pack. Maybe you have more than 1 dog. So again, why? Why does this all matter? Because food is, again, just to name a few of them, it's one of the reasons why your dogs jump. Achieving head level status with you. Head level because they're prompted by biological prepared learning to jump up, lick faces, and if we do, we're supposed to regurgitate some of our food. That's how wolves feed their young from 5 weeks to about 6 months because they're not ready to go on to meat. They need pre-digested food. So again, our dogs are driven to jump up. They also jump up for status reasons. I'm trying to identify you. Who are you walking in my house? And then once you walk in, who are you compared to me? Again, there's no equality. Nature doesn't like equality. It doesn't work in her favor. No equality. There's always a status quo issue that always has to be worked out. Even when you come home, even after you've been away for a little while, as soon as you come back in, hence why the wagging tail and all the excitement, there's a little bit of anxiety mixed in with that, just simply due to the fact that, hey, maybe our status quo changed while you were away. Oh, another technical difficulty here. Front-facing camera. So it's all backwards like an ambulance. All right, no worries. I'm going to keep going. Okay, guys? Didn't realize that would happen. I am not technologically savvy, as you just found out. But so what? You saw it last time. So this time, you get to hear the message. Okay, so like an ambulance here. Put on your glasses, face backwards, go get a mirror, whatever. Let's just keep on rolling. I think you're getting the message here. Okay, so why do they jump? Because of food. That's one of the reasons there. Why is coming when called so difficult? Why is it one of the most difficult behaviors to train? It's because I'm out exploring. Remember, free exploration. I'm trying to find food. I'm possibly trying to find another mate. Anything of that sort there. Territories. I'm expanding my territories. Predictive information. Again, all of that. Safety. Why do we have the 2 zones I talked about last week? Threat zone, critical zone. It's all about safety. P of R, principle of resemblance, status, my status. You bet. So again, it's really important that we just kind of keep this focus, keep this on our minds at all time. Because when I start demonstrating with dogs, showing you how to train them to do specific traits and specific behaviors, this is going to come into play. For example, even yesterday, I was working with a big golden retriever. His name is Knox. He's a wonderful dog. I love him. He's a big goofy dog. But while his owner was training a behavior called place, where we make the dog get on a cot and remain on a cot till they're released, we're using a reward system for that and using food. Well, she puts the dog on the place cot, tosses their treat, and it lands and goes right underneath the dog. So then she says, stay, to walk away. Well, while she's saying stay, that dog's doing nothing but searching for that treat, constantly. Looking underneath, lift his paw, looking over here, search for a treat. So she says, stay again. Dog doesn't pay any attention. There's no attention because many times our curiosity and our free exploration is killed by a narrow fixation on food. And so he's just looking all over the place. And sure enough, when he finally finds the treat, she says, stay again. And if he was a human, if he was a teenager, guarantee he would have said, wait, what? What were we doing? He just stepped right off the cot. He had completely lost focus on what we were doing at that time because his attention and his motivation and his hardwired brain was on the food. And it really wasn't on their behavior of hop on the cot, remain on the cot until you're told to do otherwise. So that's where, at that moment, even though I love to use food in training, that became a big distractor. As soon as we removed the food, bingo, it worked like a champ. Or when we timed the food's arrival at a different time, post the behavior, worked like a champ. So all these are going to be very important as we move along here because, again, I had a dog the other day who's healing fine, walking beautifully with its owner, until another person showed up with their dog. And then that dog is very reactive, very fearful. So again, yes, the treat was working like a champ. I'm healing right next to my owner until my safety was compromised. And again, that's a perception unique to the dog, not the owner at that time while it's training. But the owner's going, why is he disobeying? Why is he disobeying? He knows the word heal. Don't you know how to heal? And she's getting really frustrated. Hey, settle down. That's the whole purpose behind these videos. Relax. Let's just figure out what's going on. What's the causality of the behavior? Once we know that, there's all sorts of steps we can take. We can affect the environment. We can affect our input. So much we can do. So as soon as I point out to her, his safety was compromised. Oh, okay. Well, let's just walk over here. They're over there. Let's get a little distance here. Get deep threat zone, and we're going to be fine. And later we'll talk about what do we have to do when we can't create that safety. We can't create that distance. What will we do then? But we had to cover the first step first. Why was the dog acting out? It wasn't disobedience. It wasn't because I don't like you. I'm not doing this out of spite. I'm doing it because my safety was compromised. They're dogs, people. Dogs. And this is where their brain flows on a daily basis. Daily basis. A gastronomic relationship. A safety relationship. Who are you? Who am I? Am I even accepted in this family? Am I even accepted? Did you know for puppies under 14 weeks of age, acceptance is more important to them than food? Am I accepted? Because young 14-week-old animals, by finding themselves not accepted, cast out, or not having a pack around them, that means your household and your pets will die. And they know that. They know that. You don't have to teach it to them. So guys, it's all about learning why our animals do what they do. Why is there competitive aggression? Why do other dogs and people compromise safety? Why can our treats sometimes have the old saying, too much of a good thing's a bad thing? And it can compromise our training goals and our ability to get our dogs from point A to point B. Okay, so again, I realize this is backwards, so I'm going to quit even pointing back to it. Attention, write it down. Motivation, yep, write it down. Cognition, Always think about all three because they are present in everything your dog does. And hence why any poor performance can be blamed on either one of them or all three of them. And if you're a parent, I'd highly advise you do the same thing. Attention, motivation, cognition, biologically prepared learning, food, safety, status. Keep those in your head. Don't need to see it written down, write it down, play it back, write it down. It's so vitally important. You know, I can barely say that without even kind of getting a little emotional over it because I see so many people neglecting this. And I see dogs rehomed and euthanized because people neglected that. And it's such a waste. It's a waste of a beautiful life because we don't bother to take the time to learn and actually consider that this thing could be a dog and not be a human. But enough of that soapbox there. Trust me, I'll be jamming that down your throat for many more months to come. Okay, guys, thank you for hanging in there. Sorry about the backwards screen. It is what it is. I think you got the message. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day.